Hey everyone, this is Founders365 with me, Steven Haggerty, and today we have Skylar Lysaker, who is the founder of Greenz with a Z because it's a trendy company, right? How you doing, Skylar?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on today.
No, thank you for being on. So let's jump straight into this and tell me all about your business. Tell me, what does Greenz do? Because you guys are based out in the States, right?
Correct. Basically, what we do in a nutshell is we create organic hemp apparel that benefits our customers and the planet. We do it because our mission is to set a new standard of ethics in the fashion industry. Maybe you're wondering, why does the fashion industry need a new standard of ethics? Well, it's one of the top polluters in the world, and we're creating a bunch of clothing that's not biodegradable and really causing a lot of problems to our soil and waterways that most people aren't educated about. So that's why we do what we do.
Nice one. Let's talk about the education side of things because in the UK here, there's been end of last year, there was a huge documentary about fast fashion, how cotton is actually a huge pollution and all that kind of stuff. How can you foresee the education side of clothing and the environmental impact of that helping your business?
I would say right now, like with the movies and documentaries that are coming out, like True Cost is what I'm sure you're referring to. You know, the more that people become aware of these problems, the more we'll realize the implications of our purchasing decisions and where our dollars go. So the more that a consumer learns about what's happening, like in the true cost, it's happening with a lot of companies, they'll start to want to change their behaviors and where they put their dollars. So for us right now, with us being an eco-friendly company, with us using hemp, we're right on the edge of being part of a progressive social movement where people see that what they do wear every single day does have implications beyond their own life.
What sort of age range are you seeing your customers come in at?
Man, I love answering this one because people always expect, 25 to 35. And we thought that too. But I've actually sold most of my product to women between like 45 and 55 years old. And we haven't even dropped women's products yet. We've sold like some unisex t-shirts, long sleeves, and stuff like that. So I think the market is going to be moving and adjusting to people that really align with spending their money with companies that have moral values and that want to be more transparent and know that business is much more than profit and margins, but it's about the impact that they can have with their products.
Yeah.
So I think anybody that's kind of down to support that will be a customer of ours.
What do you think is the hardest part of getting people to care, though? Because I think that's the biggest thing, right? You want people to care about the environment, care about what they're wearing, what they're purchasing. So how do you do that?
I would say that for me, it comes naturally. I'm just so passionate about it that I can sit down with a group of people and just lay a couple facts on it about what hemp does, how it can solve the current pollutive problem with fashion, with cotton, with other fibers like polyester, and it kind of just builds the vision. I always like to say, think about it like this: materials aren't really a bad thing, but what are the implications of the materials we make in 50 to 100 years? Now imagine if the products you buy right now, the implications, we're not causing problems, they're building regenerative solutions. So imagine this: you're buying a product that will benefit people when you're gone. It cleaned the soil after you died. It was compostable. So you're reducing your negative input as a human being on this earth by purchasing these types of products. That's kind of the way I like to see it.
Exactly. They can't not agree with that, right?
It's
otherwise they're a really bad person.
The moral authority card.
Exactly. When you so you've been going 3 years, right?
Yes. Well, this company has been up for about a year and a half now, and this is actually the second hemp brand that I've worked with.
Okay.
So I've been working with hemp specifically as a textile for about 3-4 years now.
Okay, cool. So when you started this business a year and a half ago, why did you decide to move on to sort of t-shirts and the fashion side of things rather than going down other hemp products like you've done before?
Well, I would say the biggest reason is that I think that industrial hemp has the biggest impact, and most people they're not aware of it yet. Here in the States, in Canada, it's cannabis is the trend. It's all the hype right now. There's CBD brands everywhere.
Yeah.
Dispensaries grows. It's never been easier to get product from cannabis in all of its different forms. But since everybody's so focused on CBD, they're so focused on cannabis, everything that this plant actually has to offer has been kind of swept under the rug. Well, the stuff that's getting swept under the rug has the biggest impact potential. You know, if we're dealing with clothing being one of the top polluters in the world, and we have a way to reduce that through this product, then why is that not being talked about more? Why are people not researching it? You know, why are people not wearing more of it? Why is everybody smoking weed and using CBD, like from babies to grandpas? Why is nobody wearing hand protective clothing that protects them from the environment that's non-toxic? So that's what really got us juiced up about doing this.
Why is it, do you think, that the bigger fashion names are not putting it perhaps in the public eye that it can be a massive benefit to the world?
Well,
other than the big money horse that they've already created.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it's out of fear. I think when companies don't want to expose themselves and they don't want to be a part of it, is because they fear that their customers won't understand, maybe their shareholders won't understand, or maybe they're not fully matured enough on a conscious human being level to realize the impact that they could actually make. You know, I think that hemp was made illegal over here in the States specifically because of its industrial benefits. You know, it wasn't just because of weed and it's this psychedelic mind-altering substance that makes people rebel against the world like it was the propaganda was made for. It was because it had the potential to take over cotton. It had the potential to mess with the pharmacy industry. It had the potential to mess with oil. So with all these other benefits being known, the big companies didn't really want that being a part of the picture. It wasn't a part of their plan to have this plant do what's starting to do, you know, and really change lives. It's very interesting to watch.
And do you think that fear, whatever we want to call it, is going to stunt your own growth in terms of your business?
I would say no, because people are starting to question, you know, the whole reason the true cost came out is because people as consumers have begun to question, well, where's my clothing made? It says China, but where? What's happening? What are the people paid like? Do they get to have a livable wage like I do? Why is this H&M shirt $7? You know, they start to think of these things, and then they do some research and they realize the horrifying truth. So when more people start to become aware of a problem, they start to challenge brands. A big part of our brand is educating people on what actually is happening and the actual benefits of the products and what's actually going on, because from there on out, when they develop the awareness, they can start to make more proper decisions.
Yeah.
So as people become more aware, they start to question consumers and brands. Brands have nothing to do but either rebel against the consumers who buy all their products and make them all the money, or they adapt to the market. So, and you already see this. Levi's have been working on putting out hemp-based products. There's a lot of other hemp companies beyond me that I really support and I think are really cool. And people do that because of the ecological and consumer benefits. So I see it continually being, the more we question, the more consumers start to know about it. Brands have to change or they'll go down.
Yeah, makes sense. When you were building out your team, was it quite easy for you to find people that aligned with the business values?
I think the values and just between my business partners and I, our passion really sold our other partners and investors and advisors to this point. They just really enjoyed seeing a team of young, passionate people pitch them this vision of something that could really be of impact. And, you know, I'm blessed to have the business partners that I do and the advisors that I do. You know, we pulled in a designer. Her name's Alana. She's amazing. She's worked with Levi Strauss and Urban Outfitters and Ralph Lauren. She's designed products that you and I have worn, you know, that so many people have worn, you know. So she's been in the game for 20 plus years. She knows everything about the trends and fashion and the back end. So it's great having somebody of experience, and it's, you know, great having somebody like Scott Dubé, who's one of our advisors as well. He's built manufacturing facilities for textile. You know, he's exited out of companies. He's been a top Fortune 500 CEO. So being able to get people like that behind you that believe in you and that can give you the experience that you don't have yet, being at a more young age and, have only relishing so much experience, it gives you the grip hold to take this and bring it to the world.
Exactly. And how did you go about finding your advisors in that team in the first place?
We just got lucky.
Just got lucky.
Just knew the right people, and we just shared the vision wholeheartedly.
Yeah, nice one. I think, how important do you think it was to get that team in the first place?
I think it's really important, as we continue to grow and as we're entering into a new stage of fundraising right now to move to the next level of products and really get this vision out to more people. I think it's very important having those advisors and having that experience. So, I'm not just a young adult pitching the vision, and doing this, but I have validity and experience behind me to show that, okay, well, if this guy or this woman's involved, these people must have some degree of knowledge and they must be doing something right. Because, people don't sit on boards and people don't become a part of companies if they don't believe in it, especially when we're this young and nobody's making tons of money right now. So
if they can be with you through the tough times, they'll enjoy you in the good times, right?
Correct.
So it kind of sounds like it's been a bit too good at the moment. So what has been some of the struggles that you've had building this business?
Great question, man. I'd say our biggest struggle is definitely just with the times that are changing. It's been very, I would say, difficult to navigate to the correct investors, because at this point in time, the way that I see the investment space is that everybody wants things solidified. They want it quick. They want returns over time. And they want it like to date. If you look into venture capital, most venture capitals don't work with startups. So as a startup right now, most startups in the world have this issue of, we're stuck in startup phase. It's really hard, really sucks. Your financial picture looks like this. So how do we take that picture from looking like this to consistent growth, And you have to be able to work with people that really believe in it. So it's not really about going to pitch VCs or specifically working with angels, but people that are right in between, that believe in the vision, that have the capital and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. That still maintains profitability. It pays them back, but it's a world-changing type business because they want real estate, they want the cryptocurrency, they want this. VCs want old businesses, successful businesses that need expansion capital. So that's something that I've definitely, it's been a struggle for sure, but I'm excited to take on the challenge because I think it has the impact. So
do you think you could do it without investment?
You can to a degree, but you need to have a lot of personal backup. Starting a business when you're 23, 24 years old, you don't have life savings. You're going from the
unless you had a really good teenage years.
Exactly. Unless you're really taken care of. But that's just the thing. So it's a hybrid of maintaining your day-to-day operations, making sales, really being gangbuster about your deals, and being able to put yourself out there. We've made wholesale deals to retail shops in London that never really expected to come from LinkedIn posts. So developing an ability to maneuver through the challenging times gives you much more of an uphold when you're facing challenges like we are right now.
Yeah. One thing I think is quite interesting to figure out is, do you think your customers are shouting about you and learning and helping share your story?
Yes. I think we have some of the best customers in the world. The people that have bought our products really like our stuff. Our numbers show right now we have like a 37% returning customer rate,
nice.
B2C online. So most of the people that have bought products have bought all of them that are out there right now. And I think that's incredible. And it shows that people really support this. I've got messages like, I don't know why a company hasn't been able to make a decent t-shirt ever. That's a pretty bold statement saying, this little old hemp company here in the US, they have a great product out of all the other brands I've ever purchased from. So it's things like that show me that the market is there and that people really want it. I get messages every day on LinkedIn. I want hemp clothing. I want the products, so it's there. The craving is there and people love it. It's just about more education, putting together better supply chains and getting that awareness out there so people start to shift where they purchase.
Yeah. Is there anything you're doing specifically to nurture those customers to keep them coming back?
It's building personal relationships, man. Being super real, offering products asking them questions, getting very transparent between people. I think that's what it's about. I think business needs more transparency. People are craving for authenticity. You look at marketing, things have changed.
Yeah.
It's not about the best quality content all the time. It's not always about the most ad budget. It's about stuff that has virability, that impacts people, their souls. Because when people have that soul-to-soul connection, there's trust built. Having trust with the brand gets you through all the challenges and the trials and the tribulations.
For sure. Have you always been like this, or did you figure it out by some sort of like something happened, or is this just a natural way you've always dealt with business and people? Not a trick question, by the way.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger in high school, there was this club that I was a part of, and it was called DECA. It's an international club for high school and collegiate students to learn about distribution, economics, sales, and stuff like that. And when I did this club, I actually ended up going to international competition for a PR campaign that I put together when I was 17 years old. And in that competition, we ended up placing top 5 in the world out of like 200 teams. So that year that was my junior and senior year of high school, it taught me a lot about public speaking. I used to be a very shy and reserved kid. So I spent a lot of time being introverted, and then kind of learned how to take my introversion, take a story, and turn it into, PR, turn it into marketing. And I learned a lot about what I know now just from that, because I was around multi-million-dollar people who I was pitching to at 16, 17 years old. So, you're pitching to people of that caliber at a very young age. You got to be very on point. You're competing in clubs with some of the smartest kids on earth. You got to be, you're 10 out of 10 all the time. So it was all that time and all those hours I put in then taught me a ton. And, I'd say a good amount of personal development and really self-reflection has taught me a lot as well.
Do you have specific routines that you now do in your day-to-day life to help you run this business?
Oh, yeah. I think specific routines are necessary.
Cool. Talk me through those.
So I would say my biggest routine day to day, and it definitely revolves around personal development within myself, because when I'm at my best, the decisions I make for the business will be the best. And, my number one is always gratitude, being thankful for every opportunity, everybody you meet, for the ups and the downs, and being able to see subjectively what's going on, detaching from everything being a personal or an assumption-based experience, and seeing that, what can you learn from this? What can you learn from this tough time? What can you learn from this win? What can you learn from this in-between gray area? And finding how you work best and taking your skill sets and applying them to your business. So when I am feeling really grateful, when I've had a good workout that day, when I've read a book that's got my brain thinking, because I'm a very go person, that helps keep me focused in that go mentality. Because some days I'll be talking to like 50 plus people, making messages, making emails, doing that. With all that data and information coming in, you have to be on point, So that involves food and diet too, and how you go about making decisions. So gratitude, reading, and just being able to be in that stillness and reflect, those things are things that happen every day in my life.
Good man. Routine is so key. For you, where do you want to take this? Where do you want to take Greenz?
It's going to be the biggest hemp clothing brand on earth.
Big, bold statement.
Somebody's going to do it, man. If I ultimately fail at it and I gave my all, then I'm happy. The thing is that it's happening if Greenz does it or somebody else does it. Cool. It's just about, I want to see the hemp plant change the world in this way. And that's my vision to do, is through this vehicle.
And how do you plan on doing that?
One t-shirt, one piece of hemp apparel at a time.
Small steps.
Yep. Small steps. You can't get yourself overwhelmed trying to do huge things all the time. Mm-hmm. Although, a few strategic big moves can completely change your life. That's not realistic like that to happen every single day. It's the application of both.
Exactly. For you, this business is obviously super important on both the personal and business level. Why is it so important for you to have such a crossover of values and determination to make this a success?
I just think that most businesses are dry. They don't have missions anymore. They don't have purposes. I think the point of entrepreneurship was to solve problems. And I see a lot of companies inventing problems and
Mm,
solving them for financial gain only. And I'm not against financial gain. I think everybody deserves wealth and can get there and can achieve it. But what are you doing with it? What is the point of it?
mm,
I've met a lot of very rich people who aren't happy. I've met the same with people who are poor. But I think the most fulfilling people I've met are people that really enjoy what they're doing. It has impact on people's lives or has impact on the planet, and it can literally create change. We're just looking to create change in this world and to set that new standard of ethics because business needs it. A lot of the decisions that are made on this planet right now are made by huge corporations. And if those decisions are out of line with integrity and are out of line with, working with the planet and working with nature, then we're not going to be here for too long. We can only dig up so much oil. We can only pollute the planet so much. We can only use so much plastic. We have a timer, a threshold of human experience. We need to realize it's not just about this thing called a dollar or numbers, because that will go away too. When there is no clean water, when there's no soil, when there's no food, that doesn't help anybody. And
mm.
I think personally, I think there's an agenda behind all of this. We're not going to go into conspiracy talks, but there definitely is something going on. And it's not going to change unless people really become aware of these things. They need to
Sure.
become educated.
How do you think more businesses could be helping the environment and planet?
More businesses.
I know that's a super generalized question, quite a wide one, but I'm sure you've got some great ideas.
Definitely. I would say more businesses just need to be thinking in terms of how do they help businesses become more sustainable. So, I'm not just selling Greenz products. I'm selling white label products too. So my goal is to not only make our own products, but to help businesses, a dispensary, a mom and pop retail shop, have hemp products. It's better for your customers' health. It's better for the planet. So giving people the opportunity to make their supply chains more sustainable. If it's their products, if it's their packaging, if it's their paper. I think the companies that are really going to win are the ones that make a supply chain sustainable or make products sustainable for businesses. Because most businesses, they're not the ones making their stuff. They're not the ones making their packaging. There's businesses that serve those businesses. It's a very in-depth B2B. So I think from a B2B level, if people in B2B land start making businesses that serve it, that have alternative options to make things clean, to not use paper, to digitize something, to include biodegradable options, to include healthier options, I think that is where we can make a big impact.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes, people that have these ideas and stepping up to the plate and doing it, and then also people that have the money to get inspired enough by these people, which means these people that have this idea need to learn how to pitch, they need to learn how to communicate, to go pitch those people and have that cohesive relationship happen where change can really move forward. So more teamwork, more relationships being built, more people getting out of their comfort zones, because then we'll allow these ideas to unfurl.
Yeah, good answer. How do you go about dealing with the frustrations of educating people on the benefits of utilizing, more environmentally friendly products and the onset positives that will do?
I don't think
I'm sure it's not just a great conversation every time.
Well, I would err on the side that for me, in my personal experience, that part's been the easiest.
Really?
It's been the easiest educating on that. People are hung up more on things being a bit more expensive. But I would say that's the more difficult part is people are like, well, I can just go to H&M and buy a t-shirt for $7. Yep. But step back like 3 minutes where I just gave you the story of how that's causing problems. This shirt's going to last 3 times as long as your H&M shirt. It's going to also help you in these ways. So there is a reiteration process, but people have to change habitually within themselves. So you really have to have that emotional impact. You do have to, have really good follow-up, good relationships, and the product has to be good too. If they buy it one time, they're like, I don't really know if I'm going to trust this, and they get it and they love it, then they'll get over the price. But as more companies start to talk about it, then it just becomes ingrained. It's just like an artist on the radio. Ed Sheeran is played hundreds of times on the radio, and you hear him 5 times a week for a whole year. You're going to probably start listening to him. you know? So how do you continue to educate people? Because we don't learn just by reading a book one time. You learn more by reading it the second, third, fourth time. So it's just creating education that I would say aids in the habitual understanding, how they process it.
Yeah. And do you think this education should be started from an early point in someone's life?
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah. Is there anything in the US that's happening in that way that you know of? Just out of curiosity, really.
Educating like on sustainability, or
yeah, in terms of, because in the UK it's getting a lot more. The educational environmental impact is becoming a lot more normal in terms of the younger generations are becoming educated. And so I'm just wondering if that's the same over in the States.
Yeah, they're starting to become more educated, but I can definitely say out of my friends that live in other places in the world that America is very behind. You know, we have a whole host of political drama happening 24/7.
You don't. I never knew that.
You know, all this stuff going on. So people's mindsets right now are just like everywhere.
Yeah.
And in America, since it's like they call it the land of opportunity, which, you know, I believe it is. It's really cool living here for that reason, is that entrepreneurship runs rampant here. It's awesome. So, you know, businesses are the ones that really are in control of education. So there are a lot of young people that I know that are really focused on building businesses that solve sustainability, but it's not common to be taught in school. It's not common for most people to be caring about it, you know? And it's just it's that first world American problem where everybody's so selfish and they're so caught in their own world that they don't really think about the implications of their daily actions. There is a group of people that I know that are like that, but it's definitely not as large as the opposing yet.
Interesting. I wanted to sidetrack a little bit and go back to something you said about finding good suppliers. How did you go about finding suppliers for Greenz?
Oh man, this is another great question. So this is probably the most interesting part about it, is since America's laws have been changing, there is a bill passed in 2018 called the Hemp Bill. And what that bill stated is that hemp would now be legal in the United States. You know, here we are a year and a half later, and the draft of the bill was just finished up by the USDA. And in that draft, there is a standard stipulation and process of how hemp has to be harvested, what the soil's like, testing, all that hoopla. So right now, we're kind of in a predicament where people on a state level have been growing cannabis for CBD, and people have been growing cannabis for, you know, regular conventional marijuana, and people have been growing for like quote unquote industrial hemp, but they don't know what to do with it because there's no supply chain to process it. Meaning there's no machinery to make it into paper. There's no machinery to turn it into clothing. So who has it? So we looked around, and there's only a few countries that actually have what we call the vertical integration done. I know there's one smaller one in the UK. There's one in Romania that my friend, he runs a suit hemp brand out in Transylvania, and they have full processing done there too. And then India and China. So all these countries have been doing it longer because of the legal ability to, and America is very underserved. So we had to scour all these places and find the one that works best for our current products. And the goal for us over time is to take what we're doing now internationally and apply it here. Because what I think is that all brands will eventually want hemp. They're going to want to have more eco-friendly options. You're aware of Printful, right?
Yeah.
So Printful has one organic cotton T-shirt, but they have no other options. There's no hemp companies like drop printing hemp. So what my long-term goal really is to take this and build the supply chain here and offer hemp to everybody who wants it, but to have that done. So this is not done here in the U.S. That's the thing, because of laws.
So as soon as those laws come in, you're going to move your business is going to shift slightly in terms of that top line supplier.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people would call that sketchy. You know, everybody's kind of on the mindset, you know, what about the cost? This place is cheaper, yada yada yada. But that mindset right there is something that I'm trying to get rid of. Like that is the mindset which has allowed business to turn very shady. That's why we have this problem in the fashion industry. You can't solve a problem with a problem you already made from the same problem. You know, so you have to literally revolutionize how you do things. And I think it's going to take, a lot of young, very fiery, upset but passionate people to be able to do that. But you look at, I don't know if the statistic is worldwide or US, but half of the world population right now is millennial or Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
So, within the next 10 to 20 years, we're going to be making all the decisions, all the political things, all the business ones, all the factories, all that stuff is going to come into our power. So it's not about aligning with what our grandparents and great-grandparents and all these old business owners have done. It's about starting anew here, making decisions for an effective long-term experience on Earth for our grandkids and their children and so on. Because the way that we thought about business the past 50 to 100 years, we got a problem. We got a very big mess to clean up now.
And you're right at the start of this journey then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's a great place to be, right? All right. So my final question to you is, if you could give 3 tips to any other founder out there, what would they be from your experience in the last 18 months?
Have a stress mitigation practice ready to go at all times. Be prepared for things to be harder than you expected. Be willing to sacrifice your time and your money and your sanity some days so you can do what you're going to do. Because building a business is not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted. And it's going to, it's going to test you. It's going to teach you so much. So those are my 3 biggest tips.
Spot on, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, speak to you, just chat about Greenz, what's the best way for them to do that?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. That's my one platform that I use more than anything else.
There we go. You've heard it here first. One to watch, I definitely think. Thank you so much for coming on. You have been guest number 34 on Founders365. I've been Steven Haggerty. Thanks everyone for watching and listening.
Thanks, bro.